Welcome to the IAC Summit, the 10th IAC Summit. We have so many things happen simultaneously. I know it's difficult, so we really thank you for choosing to be here with us today. My name is Lital Carmel. I'm the VP New Leadership with the IAC, with the Israeli-American Council. And with me today is Dr. Yakir Englander, who's leading all our leadership programs coast to coast. He's also our scholar in residence. So if you don't know Yakir, please take a moment to know Yakir. And the reason I'm especially excited is because with us today is Dr. Micah Goodman, which we'll introduce in a second, but I know needs no introduction. And the reason I'm excited is because this whole room and the concept of having a live podcast recording at the summit is very much inspired by Micah. And so the fact that he's here and he's being interviewed right now for the AmericaNu Podcast is very exciting for us.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Lital, for being my chavruta and leading together the podcast. Thank you all for coming here. So we have an hour for the podcast, and we have a huge problem to solve. So a few words about Micah, Dr. Micah Goodman. Micah, you are an author, but you are an intellectual thinker. You started your life as a scholar, which is interesting. You wrote your piece like precise academic scholar in Jewish studies, Zev Harvey. But then, when you publish your books, you decided that you're going to publish them in a way that everyone can understand. You started writing books about the leadership of Moshe, about Maimonides as a leader, about Rabbi Yehuda Levi the Kuzari as a leader, and then you made a shift. You start dealing with contemporary challenges in Israel. The book that maybe I love the most, I love each one of them the most, is about how to deal with secularism and religion in Israel. Then you move to the 67 challenge, the problem after 67. From there, you had the courage to speak about the digital world and what does it mean to listen and what's happening, what they consume from us. And then the book about October 8th. And today we are in October 9. So first of all, thank you so much for doing that. I think thousands of people, because of you, understand ourselves better. So toda rabba for that.
Toda lecha. Thank you for understanding me, man. Thank you. Toda rabba.
And you are not only that, but you're also a whisper. There are people who are horse whispers. You are a whisper for politicians.
I don't think
I listened to you in Yair Lapid, and I know what he said about you and many, many others. People come to consult with you.
Yeah, lately I'm keeping a distance from Israeli politicians. Yes.
Got you. So the question of why, we would love to understand.
Okay.
But we're going to speak about what does it mean to disagree today, and what does it mean to blame today. And maybe we'll start with Iran.
Yes.
What's going on with Iran? Not as a military person, not as a politician, but as a thinker.
So I think we could all agree that Iran is in deep, deep trouble. We don't know where this is going. We know where we want this to go. But Iran is in a massive crisis. 7 years of double-digit inflation. They have no water. When they open the water faucet, they have an energy crisis. They have immigration of minds, of the best, brightest minds are leaving Iran. They were humiliated regionally by Israel. They have Donald Trump. They have a triple crisis, and every crisis amplifies the other. They're in a very low, low point. And God willing, this whole thing will collapse, but we don't know how it will collapse, when it will collapse, and what will replace it. We just know that Iran is in a very, very low point now. And if we ask, we could say, oh, look at those Iranis. They got everything wrong. They screwed up. Thank God. We're not them. We're different than them. That can't happen to us. I'd like to challenge that intuition. What is bringing Iran, the thing that is bringing Iran down is an idea. And I want to present this idea and then to think, are we doing the same thing in the past few years ourselves? Is that fair way to start? So we're going to go deep now. Are you ready? We're going to try to dig deep into the idea behind Iran. After World War I, when the Ottoman Empire, which represented, it was the last bastion of Islam, of political Islam. After the Ottoman Empire collapsed by Western forces, many people ask what went wrong. Mustafa Kemal, the founding father of modern Turkey, he had an answer. What went wrong? What went wrong with the Ottoman Empire? Why were we so backwards? Why were our weapons not as powerful? Why was our system not as efficient? What went wrong? What made us weak? What was Mustafa Kemal's answer? Religion. Islam. It closed us down. We didn't adopt technology quickly. We didn't have efficient institutions. Therefore, Mustafa Kemal goes into a project of peeling Islam, making Islam private, personal, not public, not collective, and westernizing. To make Turkey great, you have to westernize in order to modernize and peel Islam out of the public sphere of Turkey. That was the project of Mustafa Kemal. Roughly at the same time, there was an Egyptian intellectual called Hassan al-Banna. Who is Hassan al-Banna? The founding father of the Muslim Brotherhood. And he had a different answer to what went wrong in World War I. Hassan al-Banna says, you know what went wrong? Mustafa Kemal says that what went wrong was religion, was Islam. Hassan al-Banna says what went wrong is we weren't Muslim enough. If we would have embraced Islam completely, we would have won. So what's the problem? That we're not Muslim? Or that we are Muslim? Two answers, two paradigms that machloket, that this engagement is shaping the Middle East till today. But what Hassan al-Banna, the founding father of the theology of the Muslim Brotherhood, said, that while Mustafa Kemal said that Islam is the problem and the West is the solution, Hassan al-Banna said that the West is the problem and Islam will solve that problem. Islam huwa al-hal. Islam is the solution. The West is the problem. Okay, two paradigms. Interestingly enough, both paradigms go into the history of Iran. In the following sense, in 1925, a leader of a battalion takes over Iran. His name is Reza Khan, and he makes himself king. How do you say king in Persian? Shah. And he is Reza Shah, the king of Iran. And he completely buys the Mustafa Kemal paradigm. He completely buys the idea to make Iran great, it has to become more secular and more westernized. And he literally strips the chador off the women's heads, the hijab. Extreme secularism following the footsteps of Turkey, of Mustafa Kemal. Later on, we won't go into Iranian history now, his son replaces him. His son is Mohammad Reza Shah. This guy was the leader of Iran from World War II until 79, until the revolution. Now, when everyone speaks about the Shah, they're talking about him, this guy, the son. And he, in a deep way, continues the process of westernization, secularization, the idea Western values are the solution. Ayatollah Khomeini is the reaction. And Ayatollah Khomeini revives the old understanding. Islam is not the problem, it's the solution. The West is not the solution, it's the source of all our problems. But Khomeini gave a picture to the West. The West is America, the West is Israel. Marg bar Amriko, death to America. Marg bar Israel, death to Israel. Because once you know, because what Khomeini did and what the Islamic Republic of Iran is doing ever since 1979, it's built a narrative. And the narrative is very simple. All your problems are because of the West. All your problems are because of America and Israel. The great Satan and the small Satan. Poverty, you know why we have poverty? Because of Israel. Because of America. We have internal division because of America. Because of Israel. Now, That narrative is a narrative that gave the people in Iran in 79 a lot of energy. Here we are understanding the sources of all our problems, and here we are attacking our problems directly by attacking Israel and attacking and weakening America. It's an idea that gave them energy. They know who the Satan is, and they're fighting the Satan. 46, I think, are we 46 years after the revolution? 47, 79, אני משלוש יחידות, so 47 years. 47 years. So 47 years after the revolution, you see Iran, no dysfunctionality, internal division. Their only way to keep their regime alive is to murder their own people, a regime that is sustained not through the threat of violence, through fear. Something there is not working. You know what's not working? It's because Iran's entire paradigm is based on the politics of blame. Our problems are because of them. Therefore, the solution is to attack them. The politics of blame is a phenomenon that is not Iranian. It's human. It's a human tendency. Now, we know that among ourselves. We know people that walk around the world and they interpret reality how they blame the world, they blame someone for all of their problems. Now, I want to say something. It's not that we have people among us that do that. I think every one of us has that internal seduction. I find myself many times, you're a victim of someone, all these mean people and all my problems. It's an internal seduction. Everything that is collective starts by being psychological and personal and intimate. The thing is, in Western civilization in the past 10 years, that tendency, it's a very specific brand of hate. Maybe I'll be more accurate. In a polarized world, that very specific brand of hate grows, and there's a lot of data to back the fact that lately, this very specific brand of hate, I hate you because of your politics, has risen in the 90s when Americans were asked, if you're Republican, what do you think about Democrats? Are they good people with wrong views, or are they bad people? In the 1990s, not very far away, what was the common answer? They're good people with wrong views. Now, they're bad people. They're bad people. We used to have this ability. We used to have a flexible mind. What I thought about an ideology was separate than what I thought about a person who believes in an ideology. I'm afraid of the left, but you're a leftist. I like you. I despise the right-wing ideology, but I love my right-wing friend. We used to have an elastic mind. That's the elasticity that we've lost. By the way, in the 90s, only 4% of people said that they won't want their son or daughter marrying someone from the other side of their aisle. You know how many people say that today? Over 50%. When you go to a chuppah, and on the chuppah there's a Republican and Democrat, it feels like mixed marriage these days. It's the new mixed marriage. We don't do that anymore. That's polarization. But you see, now, when both sides hate each other so much, society changes. And here's why. And it goes into a process of self-destruction. Because in the 1980s, when Americans were asked, what's the number one threat to America? Republicans, Democrats had the same answer. The Soviet Union. Entering 21st century, Republicans are starting to speak about immigration. The left about global warming or climate change. So they're not living in the same reality anymore, but lately, Republicans are asked, what's the number one threat on the future of America? More than 50% have an answer. What's that? The Democratic Party. Democrats are saying the Republican Party. What happens when you live in a society that both sides believe that the threat to the future of our nation is inside our nation and the other side of the political aisle? Let's think about how that plays out. It plays out the following way. If I'm a patriot and I want to save my country, and the other side is a threat to my country, what do I have to do if I love my country? I have to destroy them. There's only one problem. Who's thinking that exact same thought while I was thinking it? The other side. So while both sides are trying to save the country, they're simultaneously breaking each other. And that's the tragedy of polarization. There's a tragic gap between intentions and results. When both sides try to save the country, they destroy it. That's the tragedy. And what's their narrative? Why is the other side the threat to our nation? That's the politics of blame. It's because they're in charge of all our problems in Israel. All the problems are Bibi. All the problems are the small elitists. All our problems. We're trapped in this simplistic politics of blame. And if we dive deeper into the structure of the politics of blame, I see there's some entrepreneurs in the room. Some people that actually do things in the world, don't just talk. Anytime you have friction, you do things, you're in friction with history, with reality, a problem is always created. And it's very hard to understand the problem. One of the most important things a leader and an entrepreneur has is to understand your problem. I heard once an entrepreneur said, the solution is easy. Understanding the solution is easy only after you deeply understand the problem and therefore fall in love with the problem before you fall in love with the solution. Have you heard that entrepreneurial idea? You fall in love with your problem. So you take a problem, you divide it into its parts. You look at every part. You put it together. Try to understand your problem. The politics of blame is a shortcut. It's when you confuse blaming with understanding. I mean, even if you know who's in charge of your problem, that doesn't mean you understand the problem. But the politics of blame is you have a sense of certainty. I understand the problem through blaming someone else for my problem. And then the next stage is that once I confuse blaming with understanding, it's not only the illusion of understanding my problem, it's the illusion of understanding the solution. What's the solution? If blaming is understanding, so destroying is solving, destroying the other side. This structure of thinking is so un-American. There was a great book written by Jim Collins, From Good to Great. Who read this book, by the way? Okay, I'm going to do something now. I'm going to quote this book. I never really read it.
You are still a scholar.
Okay, so I'm still a scholar. But I did read the part I'm going to quote now.
You read the quote.
But I'm going to share it now. Anyway, this is a great book. It's a book that a lot of people read.
It's a great book.
No, when you speak to people that read the book, they feel like there's like deeper. It's a book. I'm not entrepreneurial.
It's an okay book.
What?
It's an okay book.
So, it's a book about companies that went from good to great, that they became very successful companies and stayed there for a long time. It's one type of leadership that can take a company and make it great. It's a different kind of leadership that you could keep it great for a long time. And the book is about the qualities of that kind of leadership, and there's different qualities, and here's one of them. They own their problems. It's not easy to be in a mindset where you own your problems. We know that psychologically, problems we have, emotional problems, family problems, and societal problems. Our first instinct is to deny the problem, or to minimize the price, or to delay it. Anything but not to deal with it. The worst way of not dealing with a problem is blaming. That's the worst way. But what happens when you own your problem? I don't care who's to blame. You own your problem. With sincerity, as painful as it is. So good things start happening to you when you own your problem. You start developing a problem-solving mentality. You start becoming creative. You start becoming much more entrepreneurial. You start building networks. That's what takes you from good to great. But once you start blaming your problems, you go from great to good, and then from good to being who Iran is today. By the way, Ruth Weiss wrote a book about anti-Semitism. And she says that the most common version of the politics of blame, the most common version of the politics of blame is anti-Semitism. And she makes an interesting argument. When societies become anti-Semitic, that's how you know that they are going down, because it means they are falling for the seduction of not owning your problems, but blaming someone else from your problems. And that's how you know when society becomes anti-Semitic, they're losing their winner's instinct. They're not developing problem-solving mentality. Well, the problem is the Jews. We'll take care of the Jews, and we'll take care of our problems. What we see in the Middle East today. I want to make, by the way, how do we know that America I hope still is great, but in 2008 it was great? America had a serious problem in 2008. The public faces of those problems were all Jews. Think about it, Bernie Madoff, Bernanke, the public. And there wasn't anti-Semitic rise in 2008, at least not a significant one. America in 2008 was still immune to the seduction of the politics of blame. Is that the situation today in America? If we have an AI bubble and if there is a crisis now in America, will Americans resist the politics of blame? We're playing the politics of blame already. So
Micah, I want to take you to take us to therapy. Okay?
Yes.
Because I think that's what we try to do, right? To bring societies to therapy. When for hundreds of years, maybe more than that, we say every year in the Haggadah, in the Passover night, B'chol dor v'dor, ba'im aleinu lechalotenu. In every generation they try to come and destroy us. But, and then there is a but, so this is a problem?
Interesting. Being a Jew on the one hand is owning your problems. And also, but how do you, let's just design the challenge. I don't know the answer, the question. I don't know the answer. I think I know the question. How do you have a winning attitude, problem-solving mentality, owning your problems, without being naive about external threats? And how it is, if I lose my naivete, very aware of external threats, how do I not now become the politics of blame? How do I do both things at the same time? I think and I think Jewish tradition, in a very deep sense, guides us to own our problems, but to stay suspicious. It's not, the world's it's not always a friendly place for Jews.
Also, when you're a minority, I think, but that's a different. I wanted to ask something a little different. I hear you say three things. Two things I hear you say, and then a third thing it's just because I'm a follower of the Micah Goodman thinking. So you say politics of blame, that's one problem that we're having. But another thing that you're describing is a lack of mutual goal. Right? So then we kind of dive into this politics of blame. And then I also hear you say, one say we weren't Muslim enough, the other said we need to stop being Muslim, or, be Muslim in your own home, but then
yes,
Western person when you leave your house. And I want to take us here because AmericaNu is very much also about the Israeli-American community. And I walk around the halls of this summit, and I keep hearing people say, we need to be prouder. We need to have a deeper identity. We have to, להתחזק. We have to do so many things because we really need to own our Jewish identity. And knowing, or I think at least I know the Micah Goodman mentality, where do we stop? Where do we own it with pride, and we're learned, and we know what we're talking about, and we feel it, and we, wear it on our sleeves, but we're stopping a moment before it's being too much. We're taking it to the extreme.
So this is very interesting because I think your question, I think, might connect all the dots. Because we're asking, how do we not become Iran? What we're observing in Iran is not only history, there's also a lesson there. We are practicing the politics of blame. That is the mind virus of polarization. And we're looking at Iran, we see where that takes you. And we should ask not only how do we bring Iran down, but how do we ourselves not become Iran? And the question is, when you really hate someone, you're seduced to think that you're their victim. So hate leads to blame. And because of social media, our world is induced with so much poisonous information that leads to hate, that leads to blame. And are Jews immune to that? I think the answer is yes and no. We're not immune because I live in Israel and I see what's going on. We hate each other just like in America. We blame each other just like America. We're each other's victims. All my problems are because of you. I'm your victim. No, you're powerful. We're playing the same game. By the way, it's pretty amazing. Throughout Western civilization, people think they're unique. They're replicating a certain way of thinking. Polarization is a mind virus, and people think the same way. The system is rigged. It's rigged against me. That's what the left thinks. That's what the right thinks. We used to have a conversation on who's right. Now we're having a conversation on who's the victim. We used to have a conversation who should be in power. Now we're having a conversation who really is in power today. It's like a saying, and we see that throughout Western civilization. People think they're original, unique thinkers. They're predictable, generic, replicating the structures of polarization. That's, okay, so excuse my rant. So, pride comes from belonging. Also, meaning comes from belonging. When you feel like you belong to a story bigger than your life, then your life tends to be filled with meaning. Judaism could be presented in 3 different ways. It could be presented as the law, halacha. This is like Yeshayahu Leibovich and others. It's about what you do. It could be presented as emunah. It's about what you think. And here there's a secular version, values, there's Jewish values. Or you believe in values, you believe in God. It's about what you believe. I think these 2 options are not very Israeli. When we say that Israel is a Jewish state, we don't believe that the state believes in anything or that the state practices halacha. And I don't think that either values, beliefs, or deeds can have a share as what all Jews in the world share and what could save us from the poisonous polarization. Once Judaism is about what you believe, we start hating each other because it's about, no, it's my version of belief, no, it's yours. If it's about what we do, no, we do it this way, no, you do it that way, right? If it's about what you believe and what you do, Judaism, the pride of being Jewish won't solve the problem, only increase it. But I think what Judaism at its best is not a law, it's not a belief, it's a story. And it's a story that you know that you are a player in that story. Where does meaning come from? Meaning comes from a combination of belonging, I belong to a story, but also that I matter. What I do changes the story. When I was young, my mom used to be a Roman Catholic from Oklahoma City. Do we have time for a little story? Yeah. So my mom was a Roman Catholic from Oklahoma City. It's a long story. It's an interesting story. She's one out of 7. I won't go into the whole story, but I grew up knowing that my grandmother is Catholic. She used to come visit us in Jerusalem with her big Slav. I was raised Orthodox, with a grandmother with this big thingy. We used to sleep at her house in Oklahoma. I used to go to sleep and see with Jesus above me. A very graphic Jesus, by the way. He was not, for a little Jewish boy from Jerusalem, wasn't good for your dreams at night. Anyway, so I had this like Catholic. I'm sharing this because I remember when I was a kid, my mom having a conversation with her friends, and I was eavesdropping because that's what kids do. I have to remember this is what my kids are doing to me.
Mike is right here, eavesdropping as we speak.
There he is, yes. And I remember my mom telling her friends, speaking about what the Goyim used to do to us. How the Goyim used to persecute us in the Middle Ages and the pogroms, and the Masa'at Slav, the Crusades and the Inquisition. And I was listening to that, and it sounded weird to me. So I went to my mom and I said, but Mommy, the truth is, it wasn't your ancestors. It wasn't you that was persecuted. I mean, if you think about it, maybe it was even... I didn't say that, but maybe, yeah. My mom says to me, honey, she's from Oklahoma. She's really from Oklahoma. She's from Oklahoma, hardcore from Oklahoma. Honey, I'm Jewish, and they did that to us. It took me, I'm 51 today. I think it took me 40 years to understand that answer, how deep that is, and what a great lesson is in belonging. When someone converts to Judaism, they don't change what they do, they don't change what they believe, they change their story. When someone converts to Judaism, any joining a different club, we think it's dramatic because you're changing your future. No, it's dramatic because you're changing your past. This is how Rabbi Jonathan Dax put it. Belonging, the alchemy of culture, is turning history into biography. I'll say that again. The alchemy of culture is transforming, it's turning history, what happened to them, into biography. It happened to me. Even if it never happened to me, it's biography. Chayav Adam lirot et atzmo ki'ilu hu yatsa mimitzrayim. I think what we all share is that Chayav Adam lirot atzmo, this is how we say in Pesach, every person, every Jew should see himself or herself as if they participated in Exodus, as if they left Egypt. History is biography. If there's something the Jews share, we don't believe in the same beliefs, we don't do the same actions. We're living in the same story. There was Egypt, we left Egypt, we're wandering in the desert, we built the first temple site, we were exiled, and we're in the Galut. Think how interesting the way we tell the Galut story. People in France and people in Cochin and people in Morocco, the non-Jews they're all the same person. What are they? They're a goy. No uniqueness. They're a goy. And it's the same thing. And they created this, like the fact that if you are in Cochin and you go to a synagogue, it will seem familiar to you, even if you're from France. That is, we are all somehow in the same, and we're waiting for something to happen. We're in the same story. Is that our superpower? That all the Jews in the world have different beliefs, different actions, but live in the same story? And if that is our superpower, could that soften polarization? We see that in Israel in an interesting way played out. Because Israeli polarization is bad. And we have politics of blame. And you see, in Israel, the center left has, I won't go into, but we have politics of blame, just like America. And we have social media pumping hatred, just like America. So the forces that divide us are just like in America. But in Israel, we also have a force that unites us. We belong to the same story. And when that is activated, we're brothers and sisters again. So the forces that divide us are like in America, but the forces that connect us are different than in America, where there's a brotherhood and sisterhood. And by the way, the forces of love are added to the forces of hate, but they don't soften them. They just add it to them. This is something that every Israeli understands what I'm going to say. I hate him, a different Israeli, because of his politics. I hate him, but I'm willing to die for him.
But he's my brother.
He's my brother, and I will die for him. And every Israeli knows that we're living that paradox. Now, this is the difference between Israel and America. Israel, we're living the love-hate paradox. We hate each other and we love each other. In America, I don't think you have the layer of the love, of a sense of belonging to an ancient story that keeps us together. And let me be naive a bit, the paradox of Israeli polarization, where there is a love-hate relationship, not just a hate politics. We have all the elements of the hate plus the element of belonging to a shared story. That messiness, that love-hate messiness, I don't want to make a prediction. It's not a prediction. It's a challenge. Can Israel become the first post-polarized society? Can we be the first ones out of this plague? Can we leverage the fact that we share a story to have lens to see, to overcome the politics of blame, to come back to a world where I completely disagree with you. I think you are wrong, but there's nothing wrong with you. Can we go back to that? And can being part of the same story bring us back to that? That is the most important challenge of this moment, because if we don't, we know how the future looks like. Take a look at Iran.
Micha, I know that we can stay in this discussion for many more hours, but I want to leave some time for questions from the audience. If anyone has a question, there are some questions. Yeah, go ahead. Just 1 second, we need the mic.
Thanks so much, Micha. Always fascinating. You were talking about Iran, and it sounds like to me that you're talking about Israel. And my question to you is, given that, how did Chayut say, המצודה לא נפלה, or something like that? But it has, המצודה כבר נפלה. So why do you think that it's okay not to get involved in politics, not to try to do the most you can to save the fort?
I think good people have to enjoy. Did I say it's not okay to join politics? Lehefech. I'm for anyone that could help, that could join and help and heal and bring down the temperature and think about constructive compromises should join politics. Oh, you're asking why I'm not joining politics? Why am I not joining politics? Because no, it's like asking me, why don't I join the NBA? Why don't I play golf? Why am I not a carpenter? There's a whole set of passions and skills that you need to have to join politics. I don't have social media. I don't have Facebook. I don't have Twitter. I'm trying to keep my mind out of the noise in order to develop, I think, what my service is to the Jewish world. Trying to create clarity and constructive narratives, not policy and solutions. We all got from God different gifts and different passions. And politics will be, I think, for me personally, a horrible place to unleash my passions and the gifts that I received. I think I would, and therefore I think I would personally suffer a lot. It won't be fun for me. Is that a good answer, by the way? It won't be fun for me. Yes.
It's an interesting one. Yeah.
Thank you, Micha. I'm a big fan too, actually. I organized a book club based on your books from 8 friends from 5 different countries. We meet every week. My question is a twin question to the previous one. It's not that we don't want you to get into politics. You're too precious for that. Stay there. But it's more than you would not interview politicians, you said at the beginning in Israel. Is that, or you would not get close to politicians? You made that remark earlier, and I want to know.
In the past year, yeah.
Yes, I want to know why, if you don't mind sharing that.
Okay, so no, it's just election season, the year before elections. Conversations between thinkers and politicians are never about ideas, never about grand. I mean, when I do have interaction with politicians, it's not about policy. I don't think I have any good policy ideas. It's also not about politics, not about who do you have to screw and who do you have to do a deal with. It's about, like this, having an understanding of reality, a higher level understanding of reality. And I enjoyed a few of those conversations with a few of Israeli political leaders. The thing is, I kind of learned throughout the years that even when they're inspired by an idea, they ask a different question. How do you sell it? Can you turn it into a sticker? I usually found, like, I don't know, it doesn't really change anything. Just, it's very frustrating. But especially around elections. Around elections, they're not interested in ideas, they're not interested in theory. And by the way, I don't blame them. If I was a politician, I would also not be curious about anything else besides winning, winning, winning. So it's like I feel I have no contribution to politicians around elections, and also I have no real opinions about how to win elections. It's just not me. I don't like. It's not the tools that I have.
Micha, I want to ask you a question. You focus on the role of the story. The role of the story in the Jewish tradition started actually not in Israel, but actually with the Babylon Talmud in the diaspora. We created it here, right? Because in Israel, they will tell you, stop with stories, join me to the military right now, I need soldiers. I don't have time to tell stories. When you have a majority of Jews who have a temple in that time, or today a government, there are concrete questions. There is something about being a minority when you're Jewish, your Judaism is an identity, a private one, that you become softer and you focus on the story. So my question for you is, if the solution for the challenge that you see today in the world, in a global level, is to be a diaspora Jew in Israel, how do we do it?
I love that formulation. Being a diaspora Jew in Israel, which means being an outsider insider, seeing local problems from a global perspective. Because what we lack today is people seeing, when I see the way we're polarized and hating each other, and what's weird, what people don't see is that it's a part of a global phenomenon. It's kind of like somebody would say, why are the summers in Tel Aviv so hot and so long lately? What's wrong with Tel Aviv? Maybe it's the architecture, maybe it's the trees. And then somebody has to say, dude, there's global warming. Tel Aviv is a part of the globe. That's it. We're highly polarized in Israel. Why is it? We're looking for Israeli reasons. Dude, Western civilization is polarized. You have to be able to see that. And so, yes, insiders can't see the inside. And the more passionate you are, the more drawn you are into the inside, you can't see the inside. When you're in the forest, you only see the trees. So yes, I think you're describing beautifully like the power of Israelis in the diaspora. They are insiders, they are Israelis, and they are outsiders. They have the ability not to be too drawn in to the nitty-gritty of every scandal happening. See, the way the news cycle works today is every day there's a scandal. Lately there's 4. Every one of them is like 9 on Richter scale, right? Every one of them captures all your energy, emotion, and attention, which means your mind is sucked into everything that's very local. It's important that many people will play the local game. It's also important, and this could be a role for Israelis living in diaspora, caring, loving about Israel, wanting to offer their contribution. Your contribution is not that you are horrified by the latest scandal. We have enough being horrified. We have enough of that. Having even more rage than people in Israel. No, we have enough rage, dude. We don't need your rage. We need a conversation that is lower temperature and broader in its scope. And you've mentioned the Talmud. The Talmud is the solution. I'll tell you why. Because, you see, Jewish tradition gives us two canonical texts. The Tanakh and the Talmud. The heroes of the Tanakh are the prophets. The heroes of the Talmud are the Chachamim, the sages. What do the prophets do? They preach. And they preach with absolute certainty. Ko amar Hashem. It's always they know the words of God, and the people on the other side are kisdom ayinu, la'amorad aminu. Everything is catastrophic. That's the prophetic model. What is the rabbinic model in the Talmud? It goes, they don't preach, they have conversations. And the temperature of the conversations sound like this. מאימתי קוראים את שמע בערבית? מהשעה שהכהנים נכנסים לאכול בתמורתם עד סוף השמורה הראשונה, דברי רבי אליעזר. וחכמים אומרים, עד חצות. The temperature is low. They're not preaching, they're listening. Here's a thought. And then there's a story about Rabbi. Yeah, that's right. There's a story and tell a story. The founding father of Israel, David ben Gurion, had a vision to return to the Tanakh. Dude, you got the wrong book. We have too much Tanakh, too many prophets, too much certainty, high temperature, in a polarized world. No, for his generation, maybe we need Tanakh. In a polarized world, we need a renaissance of the spirit of conversation. It's a spirit of the Talmud.
I'm a fan too. Read your books, listen to מפלגות.
מפלגת המחשבות.
מפלגת המחשבות. Anybody who speaks Hebrew, highly recommend it. You can find it in all the podcasts. He just takes you through all the great ideas and how it affects society. But you said many things today, and we are living in a polarized society in the States and in Israel. But the thing is, in Israel, we can't afford it. And my question to you is, and I live between LA and Israel, so I'm like this diaspora Jew in Israel. And I was in Israel in Yom Kippur before October 7, in Tel Aviv. So I witnessed the breaking into, I have now really chills and pain in my body, breaking into prayers in the synagogues and in the streets. And then October 7 happened. So we were at that stage of really polarized. And my question to you is, when you say love and hate within this society, what do you think the critical mass that it can become dangerous to us? Because all 2023 there were talks about, even people were saying they would use guns. And so what do you think we need to where would be our red flags of we are just approaching the critical mass of
Yes. Yes.
the place.
Yes. Here's a question. How do we quantify threats? So you ask an Israeli or an American or anyone in a polarized society. There's a fight going on, right versus left, liberals, whatever, the way you want it, MAGA, woke, whatever, the way you want to describe the dividing lines. There's a fight. What's the risk to the future of our nation? Option number one, the people on the other side of the fight. Option number two, the fight itself. What's the nafkamina? You see, we're back to to the Talmud. We're in the Talmud, yes. What's the, how we say nafkamina, the practical implication from the distinction? Do you prioritize as a threat the people on the other side of the right, of the fight? Let's say if you're left, it's the right. If you're right, it's the left. Or the fight itself. What's really dangerous? If I think the people on the other side are the real threat, I have to destroy them. I increase the fight. If I think the threat is the fight itself, I have to find a way for compromise. That's the nafkamina. I think in Israel today, post-October 7th, majority of Israelis think the fight is more dangerous than the people on the other side of the fight. The thing is, the people who think that way, that voice is less attractive, and the algorithms don't prioritize it. That doesn't make money. It doesn't draw attention. But that's our hope. Our hope is, October 7th is the Yom Kippur War on steroids. After Yom Kippur, we made peace between Israelis and Egyptians. After this Yom Kippur, we need to make peace between Israelis and Israelis. The peace with Egypt was based on a painful compromise. If we're willing to compromise for peace with the Arabs, are we willing to compromise for peace between Israelis? Are we willing to compromise? That's our question of this moment. And the answer to that question will define Israel can be the first post-polarized society, but we have to return to the ability to compromise.
So, Micha, we need to end.
Okay.
And I want to do an invitation for that. As the Shabbat is going to arrive at 5:30, each person in this community is going to decide to which synagogue or non-synagogue they will go. We have the Reform, we have the Orthodox, we have the restaurants, beautiful things, we have the ocean. But at 4:30, there is Kabbalat Shabbat Israelit, where we are all going to gather together. We're going to have some guests here from Israel with Carmel, together with Reformed female rabbis, together with atheists. And we're going to sing and to pray, Lecha Dodi, together with Eli Eli, Shelo Yigamer Le'olam. Maybe this is the root and the seed of the solution. Micah Goodman, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.